Good morning, traders. Welcome to our daily webinar. YouTube viewers, you will be getting this one as well. So hope you're enjoying these. If you like them, let me know. Put it in the comment, and maybe we'll extend it next week as well and give you the whole week of free webinar. Right? Let's go. Let's start. So dollar index, we're still going sideways, but as we looked at this yesterday, I told you there's a chance we would look at this as whether it's a possible running flat. Right now, if it is not a running flat, like I say, it makes a flag, and if it makes a flag, you look for a sell setup. So this was a sell setup yesterday. We took some trades as well. What you would look for is what happens after that. If it consolidates here and we're consolidating here, then we would go with this as ending this as a channel. So in the bigger picture, you'll go back to the 1 hour and the 4 hour. And it means if they're starting a down move here that is going to be bigger, we might end up with another big correction like this before it actually, continues to go up. Now, could it be that we're reversing for a much bigger correction? It's possible. We have two very sharp waves that we haven't dealt with this yet. This is one, and this is one. So at any time, one of those two could come into play, which means at this point, if it drops suddenly and go back up, depends on the size of the drop. We'll decide which one of those we're dealing with. On the 1 hour, it's a sell setup today. So that would just be a channel ending. There was always that possibility. It could have been a running flat, so you always keep that open. If you miss that trade, you don't have to worry. This is consolidating, and that means we look for a trade here today, right? So you've got to move up, you've got to move down. You're getting a consolidation here. I think this is coming back here. Go back up there. We'll look for a flat like this, and then we'll look for the sell side. Pretty simple. So if all of this happens, we will be in the sell. Now, we might be looking at, again, can this structure change by the end of the day? I think it is unlikely that the sell will change. What could change by the end of the day is how far the impulse goes once it breaks out, right? Once it does this and it breaks out, how far this goes. But when you get a flat that is this size, you normally get a very big move out of it. So this should be a very good trade. Remember, I'm in the 15 minutes. So this trade would likely happen today. If you're watching this video and you get it in time before this happened, I hope you get a trade. Now you would have to have a strategy. You would have to have, no risk management, money management, and how you're going to make that trade. So silver, pretty good. We got that trade. Remember what I said, if you're trading this, you got to be careful. It's going to go back up. I think we're making a big consolidation here. It's pretty clear. We've got this piece here. So we're coming down. This would go back up, right? Continue 1, 2, 3. Go back up for this one. We'll get a flat, and then we'll get a down move. Now, how far this goes, that's the big question. We'll still sell it. We'll still be looking for the sell. And then we'll see how far that goes, right? That might not go very far. It could just probably come to the end here and then start some new up move. We don't know whether that's going to happen. I think it should break the low, right? I'm expecting them to make a new low before we go back up. Not necessarily that it will do that. We'll break this low. And once we break this low, we'll decide whether this, right, is a 1, 2, 3 for upside, or if we're going to come break this low again. Remember, we had a 1, 2, 3 here. We made an up move. They can repeat that. You can get another 1, 2, 3 here. You can go back up again, or you can just make this the top. This is the correction, and we drop again to the bottom. But it's a sell setup. So we go for the sell, and then we'll decide when you break the low what happens at that point. So hopefully we get a very good trade here today. Some of my traders might be aggressively in the trade already. If they do, they're doing well. They know how to manage it, which means I don't think this is the one that will go. This is just the first, this second impulse in the B wave. It could come all the way to the low, may or may not break the low, but it's going to go back up. That's when you look for your trade. So by the time you guys get this, even if you're in the New York session, there will probably be a trade set up from the top here going down. That is the one we'll be looking at today in the New York session. Okay, gold, pretty much the same thing, consolidating. You're getting a running flat, which is making it a little difficult here. You're getting this as a running flat coming back here, so that will go back up. You'll get the same thing. It's very similar to what we have on silver, except this is a running flat. Silver, I don't think is a running flat, regular flat, and this one is going to drop. Right? Basically, that's what we're looking for. This is only a sell, and this is always a sell. I've shown you why we put this chart on and what we're doing with it. You're getting a perfect sell setup. It's very much a similar thing. You're getting a small running flat in the middle there in the 15 minutes. You can see that. It's a 15 minutes one, so you don't have to worry about it. It's going to come here, go back up. This would be a running flat there. You get a 1, 2, 3, perfect sell setup. See, I like this actually. This one is a sell we'll probably take to the euro. Yesterday, I told you euro should come and break this top, and they did exactly that. Now it looks like we're going up more, and this is where it gets interesting, right? At that point, if this is a simple flat, we should be falling, but we're not falling. So what you do at this point is you take it and you put it like this, because this is a correction. But the question is, was this correction would this be the low and the start of a bigger move up? And we weren't looking for that because the depth of the pullback of the correction. It does happen sometime, but when you get that deep move, you're not expecting that to happen. So at this point, if we broke this low, we could either be reversing, I mean, for a much bigger move up, you could assume, and something like this, or something like this, the two big moves we have to complete, right? If that is the case, we're looking for a buy setup here. Because now you have a consolidation that's making a flag. And if you're making a flat, and if you're making a flat here, you're likely going to go up. Now, this is a regular flat. We didn't break the top. See that? And we're making a 1, 2, 3 here. This should go back up here. I hope we don't break the top. And then they come back down. So this would be just a flat here. If it breaks the top, no problem. That'd be a running flat. Come back here, and then we're looking for the buy. So there are very good patterns here forming. And these are very good setups. How far this is going to go? Well, I think it could go pretty far, especially since, after this deep move, we're not dropping, but we're making moves to the upside. We bought this yesterday. You closed it, put your entry above the top. This is a running flat. We're looking for upside. Now, this upside is pretty slow, right? It should go, but I don't think it's going to go very far. I believe we're going to go up really, really, really slow. So it might just break the top slightly. And if we get an entry order to buy here, that'd be a better one, right? If we get an early entry order for my traders, if we get a better entry order, we'll look for that. But let's take this one and see. We're expecting it to break this top minimum, right? So we're expecting it to go break that top. And this could be a nice trade. Let's hope that today it goes. Yesterday it didn't go. Today we have a nice running flat. That should be a good one. Aussie. Aussie is going up higher, so we'll come back to the same question. Is this now a running flat, a bigger running flat for upside? We really don't have a big correction in this move. We have it at the top there. So either we're making a much deeper correction before we drop, or we're literally going to go up all the way to the top to make a new high. This is becoming a buy setup, at least for now. An entry order above the top is a good idea. We could change that entry for YouTube viewers. We could change that entry if this drops lower. I don't think we have a sell setup at the moment. We're not looking at a sell at the moment. If we're going to get a sell setup, this would have to drop really sharp, make a flag here, and then we'll consider whether we go for any sell. As of now, this looks like consolidation for upside. Sometimes it looks like that, but it comes down like this pretty deep. And then, you don't put an entry there anymore. You look for a buy from the bottom here to go up. So we'll have to wait and see. As of now, if it takes off, it's a buy. New Zealand dropped pretty sharp, right? But we also have a sharp drop here, right? Which means, let me use the yellow one. We have a sharp drop here, which means this sharp drop with these two could be some kind of a running flat, whereby this goes back up to the top. But it's not a great buy setup, right? It's not like the Aussie, and especially since we came this deep. The question would be, are we really looking at a big expanding flat here? I don't think so. The next question you might ask, well, what if it drops from here? Because you're consolidating here. Could it drop? It's possible. And if it is going to drop, it's pretty easy. Put an entry order for a sell there. Now, I don't think it's going to drop because I'm looking at a pattern and I see this sharp one and I see those sharp one, and I think there's one more up. Can we buy this? And that is where the big question comes. Do you have risk to reward if you're going to buy it? There is no buy setup. You have to buy above the top. You have to buy above the top, right? You have to put a stop here. And then all this needs to do, if this is a running flat, right? Based on wave patterns, all it needs to do is break that top and drop. Literally, that is a possibility. So if you know that that is a possibility, then the question is, should you take the trade at the top there? And the answer is no. We can put it here for the sell, because if it drops, it could drop really sharp to the downside, right? I don't think it will drop, but we don't have a buy setup. Even in the 15, you really don't have that, right? So in the 15, it's looking more like it's making a big consolidation here for downside. So we'll have to just put the sell and wait and see what happens, right? Just leave it. If it drops, it's probably will drop to about this low, and then we might get some kind of a big running flat for the upside. We'll see. Swiss. Okay, so we sold there yesterday. And for my traders, remember where you're supposed to close it. Here, close here, because we're supposed to go back at least one more up if you're making a flat in this range. Close the trade. So the trade entered there, close there. That was your stop. You did well, right? So take this off. It actually went up much higher than we anticipated. And when they go that much higher than you anticipated, you're assuming it's going to be a flat, not a flag for downside, but a flat and an incomplete flat, so to speak. So this one would probably come here, which makes that not much of a sell. Go back up. That will bring you closer to this top. We can probably take this sell again, because now we know, especially if we don't break the top. We can go for this trade, but after that, it's upside. How deep will this go? Well, we'll see. What if it doesn't really go that deep to the top? Can it still drop from this point? It still can, but I don't think this is the one that is dropping. This would probably come here, go back, tag the top, and then we will put our entry order here for the sell, for that one down. What if, from this point, can they totally drop? Absolutely. Let me go and show you that on the past, right? Look back in the past and see this one. No, this one was pretty short. But if you go one more backwards, you'll probably see that they had a very deep move up when they dropped. Not from, let me make it in the 1 hour so we can see them. That would be, I'm looking at the tops, right? So this one, no, but if you go back here, you'd see that this one's, look, this one had a very deep pullback before they dropped. Look at another top. This one was a very deep pullback. This is about 50%. Let's see if we have more where they pull back deep before they drop. This one here, see, they put that very deep pullback to the top, but then they drop really much, right? So let's say we're here right now. We had this move down and we are getting this consolidation going back to that top. Do we want that trade to see how far it's going to drop? That's a good trade, right? So we'll probably take it. I think if you go back, you'll see quite a lot of them where they had deep pullback before they dropped to. So I think we'll take the trade. We'll go with that. There's a number more. If you start like this one, look at this. This was a big flat and then they dropped, right? This was a very sharp pullback. Look at this here. This pullback actually went way back to the top before they dropped. So I think we'll go with the trade. We'll take the sell and we'll see how far it goes. This was a good one. Look at that pullback way back into that top, but then it drops very much. So this pullback into that top, we'll still take the sell. It's not ready as yet. If you think it's going to drop now, you have to put an entry under the low. Not a very advisable thing to do right now, right? Considering it could be a flat. So what we want is we want this to go here, go back up, and then we will use the last impulse to the upside, which would give us a very good risk to reward and a chance for a good break even if it doesn't drop, right? If it's a flat, sorry. Can't drop beyond the low, it's not going up as yet. Question is, are we trying to go more, make a new low with the cat? Not really, but they can go a little deeper. Let this pull back here and see if we get a small flat, and then we will, we will consider if we want the trade to come back to this low. This is your impulse up, right? So I don't know, will we take it? Especially if they come here, then they'll go back up and drop again, right? So we'll see if we want the trade, if the trade is worth it. If not, we'll have to wait for when it's, let it break the low and then start to go back up. I mostly think it's upside. I don't see the downside in the big picture, right? Yen, if you took that, I hope you closed it. I think you can see where you should have closed it already, especially in this range, right? Tagged you, pull back, stayed here for, I think, hours you had it there for, right? A number of hours. That's where you close it, right? Because remember I said, watch the 15 minutes. You make one drop, you make two drop, you make three. If it doesn't go far, you go for the hourly, right? So now we're making the hourly consolidation, and that's a sell. Take this off. Literally, we can take the sell early. I think we should start taking this sell early, right? Because this could be the end of the correction, and we should take this sell. That's an aggressive trade. Keep a stop above the top as you did in the previous one. You did this stop was here, right? So keep this stop here for the bigger correction, because this is your impulse down, right? Now, this might not get that aggressive. Let's hope it dropped like this, but it could probably, start to do this. And if we started this, we'll go back up. We'll get a bigger flat. This would be our break even. If it drops, you want to trade. You don't want to miss it. So I think we put the entry order, and it's an aggressive trade, but let's take it and see where it goes. We can manage it, right? So that's a sell setup. I'll put it as a sell. By the way, that's only for my trader because we know the rules of engagement. We know how we're going to manage the trade. I'm not sure all my YouTube viewers have that plan. If you have it and you think you're, good, you can make your own decision on that, right? Euro New Zealand. It's kind of still going sideways. We didn't break the low. We didn't come back to the low. We don't need to break it, but we need to at least come back, and we haven't come back to the lowest yet. So we'll probably be making a very complex pattern. I wouldn't go with any bias yet. Just leave it alone. EuroCAD, leave this alone too. I think we're looking at these and we're deciding that we'll just leave this whole piece alone because it's not the way it's going now. If you get a trade, you're gonna break even. Euros, yeah, it actually dropped lower. So let's take this off, and we're in this thing, and it's not really making a lot of sense, right? That's a big correction happening at the top there, but it's not. It's incomplete, which is why you're getting this as the biggest consolidation right now. Right? All these are pretty sharp moves. So this is becoming the biggest consolidation. And when that happens, you wait for it to finish and you start to count waves before you go out. Right? We'll figure that out. So it might come a little lower. It could come back all the way to this level. Not that it will, but it could come, though. That is a range of correction you're in right now. So give it time. Euro Swiss. Okay. We're waiting for this to drop. It didn't drop. It's actually made a new high. So you can wait for one more move up. You can expect one more move up, pull back here and go back up one more. A small running flat is possible there. And then when it breaks the top, we'll wait to see whether it's coming down. Can it be that they're trying to break out of this structure to go up higher? Not really. It could go higher than that, but I don't think this is the B wave. So it's gonna come down. Just give it time to go a little more higher. And then we'll look for the sell, right? So I expect one more up. Probably it will have to pull back. This is a sharp one, so they'll have to pull back here and go back, make a new high. And then we'll look for the sell. Can we take the sell from here if we get a sell set up? We'll consider it. We'll see the risk, we'll watch the risk and decide whether we can get to break even if this starts to drop, right? If that is the one that starts to drop, right? I don't think it will. I think we're making a running flat, but we'll keep our eyes on it and we'll decide whether we take the trade. Euro yen. Okay, any sell setup here will take it, pretty much like the dollar yen. You might have to wait for a really good setup because this is not ready to. Yeah, and the 1 hour it's okay, but it's not ready. You can put an entry under the low if you think it's ready. I don't think it's ready. I think we'll go up one more. I think we'll literally, because of all this deep pullback, we might come here, go up one more, and then drop. This looks like a little flat there. You had a little flat here. So it's kind of a this, do that, come back here, do this, and then drop. Maybe not the drop is yet too, because this one is pretty sharp. So we'll have to wait and see whether they come here and go back up and then actually drop. We'll see that. But we're looking for the sell. And if we get a sell setup, we'll take it. Euro pound. Okay, we broke the top. We're making another flat here. That is this coming back here, coming back to the low and then going back up, right? Because we're going to have a flat in here. So this would have to come back, go there, come back here, and then go. You definitely don't want to be, you want to keep it here under this one. But if this comes too low here, tag you and looks like it's pulled back, we'll close the trade. So we'll keep an eye on how this develops and decide whether we keep the entry here or we move it low. Because if this is a bigger flat, right? If this is becoming a bigger flat, this would be the move up. This would be a bigger flat, and you probably do another one before you drop. So you don't want to be tagged accidentally and then go up. We'll decide on whether we keep this entry here or not in our next session. Pound Swiss. Okay, you can take it off. They already go back to the top. So we're making another flat here, putting it that way. This would probably have to come back here and then go. One more up. And then we'll see. Is it going to be a buy setup? Let's look at the 4 hour and see. I think once we make the consolidation above this, this could become the low. This here could become the low. We're still debating on whether that would be take this as the low. And this is the move to the upside because we broke all the lows. We broke this low, we broke this low, so this would be the lowest point. And that could be the start of the upside. Okay, let's see what happens here. Let's see how this develops, and then we'll decide if we take the trade to the upside. Pound New Zealand comes a little lower, and we look for a buy setup, right? This comes back here, and then we look for a buy setup. Pound Yen. This is another one. If you got tagged, you closed because it was only 15 minutes. And pretty much aware that, 1, 2, 3, 4, once they come here, they can start to do the bigger one. Your stop should have been above here. So I hope you close the trade here. If not, you keep a stop here because you start to make a bigger correction. It's still a sell. It's just a bigger correction. And actually, you can go with a sell that might be higher somewhere here, the last impulse up. And then we'll see what happens from that point, right? Within a 1 hour. If it starts to consolidate more, which means if we drop to this level here and we start to consolidate here, we'll probably make a flat. So in that case, we'll close this trade and then we'll look for this one. So it's going to come down. If it goes higher to the top, they will pull the sell, wait for it to come down and then go with the buy. So for now, it's still a good sell because it hasn't come way to the top. It's pretty much about a 618, which is good. Punkad. We broke this one is not, it's the down move is not very clear, right? We're doing something in all of this. Let me put all of this together. Something is happening all of that move there, right? If you put it like this. It's all corrective, starting from this move up here, right? This move down, that move there, this move here. They could probably go back there and then drop. I would want them to drop beyond this point and make a consolidation here to be clear we're getting a sell setup. Just to be clear, because if it's making some kind of an expanding triangle, it's going to go back up from this point. We don't have a setup for a buy or a sell, so just stay out of it. Vamos. Okay. This should go back up. We're expecting the up move here. It's not going as the way I expected. It's not moving in an aggressive move up. But this one actually was slow for the upside. An entry order there for the buy if they take off is a good idea. If it drops lower on this one, which I think this could do, we'll just have to wait because I don't think that is all the correction. This is a pretty sharp move, right? It's not fitting into any flat, but can we look at this and assume that this here is a flat for upside? I think that makes more sense to us. So based on the way we trade, we'd look at this and said, okay, look for a buy setup rather than a sell setup. And if you're looking for a buy setup, you could literally put an entry order here above the top and see if they take off. If this starts to come down more, right? Put it right above there and let's see if we get a trade. If this comes down deeper, breaking out of this, right? If it comes deeper, breaking out of this, how far would it go? It's not really going to go very far. Let's see what we have here. We have this one. We have 1, 2, 3. We have this one. We have 1, 2, 3. That could be the end of it. Now, if this is going to go down again, question is, how deep would it go after that? So let's go for the buy, assuming this is a flat here. Go for this buy and then see, we'll put that to break even. Because the upside, based on the ending of this structure here, this could be a deeper correction and then they drop again, right? And because we don't have anything to put this. So then we can decide that, if it is a running flat, the buy is a good idea. If it comes lower, we'll decide on the sell. Aussie Swiss. Okay, the buy from the bottom was a good idea. Now as we are getting to the top here, that idea is not so good anymore, right? So I'll just put this top one. We want this. Now that we're getting at the top, we have to figure out what this whole piece is. So buying at the top is not a good idea. Let's see if it gives us a sell, we'll go with it, or if it drops again, right? If this starts to come back down. If at some point we see this start coming back down. We'll go with a sell setup from here. That would make sense to the bottom, right? And then we'll figure out what the pattern is, because this is way too sharp to be the P wave in a structure like that. I don't think that makes sense. So break the top, make a consolidation here, and then we'll say, okay, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's all you have. So right now we're going to wait for a bigger consolidation here. Aussie yen, this one really took off. So now the question is, we still have this that doesn't fit anywhere. So let's wait. Let's see what happens at the top there. If it's a flat, we'll decide if we want to buy it. If it comes back here for a flat, that becomes a buy setup. Can it drop down here and make this one? This would be the perfect buy setup. So we wait for a buy setup. Aussie CAD. This probably will make a new low. We'll bring it somewhere here. We'll probably make a new low before they go back up. This will definitely go back up. It's just whether they make a new low now or not, right? I think they'll make a new low. I don't see this as a running flat, because we didn't have any huge correction in there. So I'll just go with them as separate flats up there, with separate pullback, smaller pullback. This will probably break the low because it's already coming down. Probably break this low. And then we'll look for the up move. I'm not going for a sell setup here as yet. There is no sell setup in this pattern for me. Break the low and then we'll decide on the buy. Aussie, New Zealand. You're getting a running flat here. So if you want to buy it, you can decide on that. All right. Come down a little more. That's a buy setup. Let's go with the New Zealand Swiss. Okay, so we're at the top now, and this is where it comes very tricky. Are we looking at this as the consolidation for upside? Or are we looking at this as the consolidation for downside? And both of those could be possible in the biggest structure. The biggest structure, we're at the top of this move here. If you pull it from this way all the way, right? We're at the top of that structure. Means we can break out or we can come back to the bottom. I really think we should come back to the bottom, because then we're left with this is the P wave. But it's not coming and it's not going. So you're not really getting any good trade. There's no buy or sell setup in it. Let's just leave it alone for now. Let's wait some more, see what happens, then we'll decide. New Zealand CAD. Yep, the sell is good and you're getting another sell setup. You can literally put an end shorter here. So those who traded the New Zealand yesterday, they did well. You got a small trade, you're getting another one. I don't think it's complete. And the 15, you can see they'll pull back here and then they'll go back there. And then you'll get this flat for the downside. But it's a sell setup. As of now, that's a sell setup. All right. We're back on the 1 hour. And where would that take us? Let's see. Well, we did this already, and we're coming to break this low. Right, that is already taking you to break this low. There's a good trade, actually. New Zealand yen. It's pretty weird, right? You're getting a consolidation at the top here. So that should be one more up. If we put this as the flat, and you can do that, then you have this one up, this one down, and this up. We still have this to deal with. So at some point, even if you break that top, it could come back here. Finish this and then go. So if you're going to take the buy, you just have to be aware of that. It doesn't mean you don't take it. It just means you have to be aware of that possibility. It's a good buy. You have 1, 2, 3. You have 1, 2, 3. You probably come down one more, right? If we look at it that way. If we look at it this way, 1, 2, 3, then you have 1, 2, 3. You're just going to go. Put an entry above the top, right? They're all looking pretty much alike, especially the ones in the middle. This has 3 waves in it. See, this has 3 waves in it. This has 3 waves in it. And this has a small kind of a tree wave in it there. So if we go with 1, 2, 3 there, and these two sharp as the thing, then this should go out of it. But what if you go this way? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you still have to come back for this one before you go. Who cares? Put an entry above the top. When it breaks out, you get the trade. And then we'll manage and see how far that goes. Kadian? Okay, we're breaking the top without completing the flat. Again, you're probably going to be looking at a running flat. So we didn't break the low. I don't think that's it. Do we look at this as a running flat? Again, why did deep pull back? We discussed that. Whether we think it's a running flat, why did deep pull back? But above here, you can still buy if you want. Again, just be aware that it could be a running flat in the making. You just take the trade, put it to break even, and see how far it goes. Cat Swiss. We can buy. It broke out already of the structure, so it's just going to keep going. So you can wait for any flag and buy, right? This would be all the consolidation. This here would be all the consolidation. And this is the up move. Very big flat in there, which is strange, right? It's not common to have it like that. But we're going up, so keep buying, because the next place they could probably come. If this could either be the low and we're going up totally, or if we're still in the correction, this is where they get to, all the way to that top. Right? If we still look at all of this as a big correction that, you know, is still happening. If you look at it like we broke this low, we broke that low and we are going up. This was a running flat, 1, 2, 3, and this was the low and we're going up totally. It's good. In any case, this is a trade that could happen. So go with the trade. Any flag you get, take the buy. Swiss yen. The buy is still possible here. This still looks like a buy as of now. That was the entry. We're consolidating in this range. So if they consolidate here, take this out for now, because if they're consolidating in here, we can come back to that level and still come down. So put this at the top. And let's see what this consolidation becomes here. Okay, if you took the buy, you did well. It's a small running flat. You can make an argument for that, for this to be a small running flat here. And that is the entry. Put it to break even. It doesn't look like they're going very far. It should pull back, I think, on the 1 hour. Yeah, we should kind of pull back, because that's in the 4 hour. Not necessarily. You could take this to be the flat. This is just another flat in this impulse going up. You had a flat at the bottom here. So any correction is a buy. Any correction you get, just keep buying it. Can we look at this in a different perspective? Now that I see. And if we're thinking of a running flat here, then we still have this, and this whole thing is coming from the top. So I don't think it's a run. I just think they're ending the structure. So it could go back up all the way to the top. Go for the buys. Any flag you get, any correction you get, take it. Take the buy and see where it takes you. Let's go. This, stay away. Natural gas, I hope you guys got the sell. If you're in the sell, you can just put it to break even and leave it, or you close and re-enter. Right? You can close and re-enter under the low. This would probably go back up a little, and then it could drop again. Better to close and re-enter. You actually have it at a nice spot for a running flat. So if you took this trade and it's here, close the trade here, let this go back up, put the entry under the low, and look for that one. You close this. If you took profit or not, you close it. It's going back up. So are we going to get this stop here now? Maybe. Actually, if this comes here and give you a buy setup, that's a good trade back to the top there. It's pretty sharp. So maybe, I don't know, we had some sharp one here and then we made a flat. So it could go like this and then come back here and then finish that move with a flat there. That's possible. And then we get a downside. So we'll see. But it's going back up. So you close that trade, look for buy setups. UK oil, same thing. Close the trade, look for buy setup. You probably closed it already. I think you all know that, but those who didn't, you know. PayPal, It's still going down. So I think you'd have to be careful here now because this is too sharp. And if we're making a bigger flat, it's going to be with this one, right? It's going to be with this one, going back up there and then drop. So this sell here, you need a really good flag or a good flat before you sell it. Tesla, you can sell this. Amazon, you can sell this. US 30. Okay, so yesterday we were debating this with the flat here, right? With this for a buy. And it should break that top, which I don't think they have broken the top as yet. Right? And what we were saying is whether we think this is a bigger flat, right? Like this, 1, 2, 3, and go break the top. I think that is what we look at. So when it breaks the top, take this off now. When it breaks the top, that's where the question comes in. Is it going to drop from that point, or are we still going to go up? So if you bought yesterday when we did that, when we were discussing, remember this could come all the way back to the top, but because it has so much pullback, there's a chance we're expecting it to drop. Now, how deep it go will depend whether we think the drop is going to be big or the drop is just a flat. Again, if you get a correction here, you could look for a buy. It's a short-term trade, break the top, that's about it, right? S&P 500, this one was pretty much the same thing, but we didn't have the same pattern, right? We're not looking at it as the same pattern for the running flat, but it could be that they're doing this. Separate corrections, not running flat, but separate corrections, right? If this one here was a separate correction of its own, you can go with this, right? Kind of move up, correction, move up, correction, make a move up back to the top, and then we'll see what happens. And then we're breaking out, so we'll go with this. Take any flag you get to the top. And from there, we'll see on the 4-hour what happens, because now we look at this as the move down. This is the move up to this top here. And then from there, we need one more move down. Depending on how high this go, we decide whether it's a flat in the making or if it just breaks that top and start to drop. But first, you need to get it to that top. So let's see. There are buy setups there. You can take the trades. It's not moving fast. You can, if you took yesterday, you got break even. Take it to this, see if it's the same thing. And NASDAQ. This one is not doing the same thing. This one is actually looking downside. So let's see the consolidation, and then we'll decide if we get a sell setup here. If this one is much flatter. See, this one is not trying to go up. This one is consolidating at the bottom here. And that might be a sell. Okay, DAX going back up. This was a very slow start because this was a big flat to the bottom here. Now they're going up. Let's see where this could go to. We broke out of this here. If they make a flag, then we will trade it back. If you get a flag here now on the 1 hour, you trade it back to this top. And then we'll see if they actually do this. Can it go break the previous stops? Let's see in the daily. Well, it can. We've had these deeps pull back, so we'll figure out whether this is making a running flat here. Whether we'll put it with that one or put it something else. Go back to the weekly. This is all we have. Okay, trade it back to the top. So we'll go with this. We'll trade this back to the top and see where it takes us. Wait for consolidation. You don't have this. Would have been a good buy. Once you break out of here, this consolidation is a good buy. We can repeat the same thing here. It makes a flat, go for the buy. Nifty. Okay, we're making a deeper correction, so we might be starting one of these deep corrections we had in this move down. And I showed you that, you know, when it drops, you close the trade because this is a deep correction that is possible that could start forming here, right? And then downside. We've had a number of deep corrections, so I think we'll get one here. Bitcoin. It still hasn't moved anywhere. Not to the upside, not to the downside. So let's wait. Right? It's still open whether this is a running flat. Expanding flat now for downside. Or if this is a 1, 2, 3, this was a correction of its own. That's a 1, 2, 3, and we're going up. Put an in. If you took this, you close it. So put an entry above the top. Or wait for the sell setup. I don't think you want the sell. You just want it to drop and then decide whether we'll get a buy setup after that. It looks more like a running flat for downside. Let's see it. Let's see how this consolidation here happens. This on the 1 hour. If this turns out to be a very good flat here in the 1 hour, that's a buy. So we'll go with the buy. Ethereum, same thing, same structure, same thing. We thought this was a running flat. I think this is a running flat. I pretty much think it's a running flat. You're getting a flag here for downside, so this is much better. Yeah, I still think it's a running flat. I don't see structural is changing. This makes something here. This would be a good sell. And let's go. XRP. You're coming down one more, so it's still a consolidation. I don't think we're gonna go break the lows on this one. I just see this coming back to this level maybe, and then take off. More of a consolidation in here. And let's see. Okay, this also could be coming down at this point. You're getting a sell setup here right now for the downside. And let's go. ADA. Could be you're getting a sell setup for downside as well here. To make a new low, which means would we be looking at this as a running flat too? Maybe from this point. 1, 2, 3. Well, let's see. It's possible. Break the low again and then go back up. This would definitely have to go down some more before it goes back up. So we'll wait and see. Dash. Yep, this would come down. It's going to make another drop and then we'll see what happens from that point. I think they'll probably just drop above this level and go right back up. Think consolidating, so we wait. Dot. This could probably go back up. It doesn't necessarily have to go down depending on how you look at the structure, but it should go back up. And if you get a flag here, this could be a buy. We didn't break this low. It could be a big flat here and a slow move up. I think this one is more like the rest of them with the running flat possibility here for the downside. If it stays here longer, then we'll consider it for the buy. But right now it looks like that possibility. Luna. Definitely a buy here. Unless we're making one of these deep pullback, and then we're going to drop that deep pullback there. Come down like this, go back up there, and then drop. If it consolidates here a lot, we'll take the trade up. We'll figure it out when we get there. This could be up, but again, it has the same structure of a running flat here. So one more, and then up. If it's going from here, we need a flag there. It's making a flag. So if it stays as a flag with a bigger correction at the top, we'll buy it. So if this stays here, if this piece stays here, we'll put a buy. But if this drop, you let it drop and then look for the buy setup. I think this also looks like a big flat in the middle here for a drop. So let's see. AMP. It's going up slowly but surely. It's going up. You can see that the consolidation is here. So this will work its way up to the top. And this is the one I did that is a long-term trade. When it breaks the low, you buy and you can, let it go some more. And then you could, if you bought here, you could literally put that at an entry order to sell, which means if they drop, you sell and then we buy back lower to go up, right? Let's go. OMG. This looks one more down. Then the upside, this is looking like consolidation forming here for now. Unless we take off and make a flag here, then we can buy. And this also looks like a little more down because of this consolidation, right? Can this actually drop, make the new low, and then go back up? That'd be okay. All right, that'd be okay. We'll go for the buy. And this is a new one we added because it looks good too in the big picture. Right. Looks really good. Looks like we will make a lower low. This here might make a lower low before you go. Just breaking this low about here, right? And then go. Because the consolidation is here. If this go back to the top there and come back here, then this becomes the up move. But right now it's not doing that, right? It's consolidating the bottom. So let's wait and then we'll see. This is just one move. If it makes a flat at the top here, that would be the buy. So guys, I think we managed to finish it. It's a pretty long one, but this is how we do the daily webinars. They're long, they're combined. They're not like the weekly webinars where we separate them. If you manage to watch to the end and you like it, please share. Thank you very much. Bye.